Hello everyone, my name is Jayaditya. This is an update on the current state of my AI project or Project Javis. It's grown a lot since the last video, so today I'm going to walk you through everything that's new. As a refresher, Javis is a fully local, privacy-first personal assistant. It runs on a custom UI, authenticates with Windows Hello or a PIN, and everything, including the backend or the language model or the voice model, runs on device. Nothing goes to the cloud unless I explicitly ask it to search the web. Since the last version, the biggest additions are there's now a dual model local backend with GPU acceleration, a dedicated math engine, 7 distinct assistant skill modes, including a fully agentic coder, a built in web search persona, an in app browser, and a much more cleaner UI for both the authentication and application. Let's go through each one. As you can see, firstly, Javis now has a refined UI with a persistent window which does not allow for other applications to block it on screen, which gives it priority. It also very closely resembles its internal UI, making it cleaner and more aesthetically pleasing. The authentication step is still the same, and for this I will prefer the PIN. Now the UI will take a few moments to confirm the model has been loaded and everything is ready before loading the application. Now let's go over the entire application itself. Javis has been redesigned enormously, and Javis has the multiple personalities up here. Over here, you can change the accents, and over here, you can change the opacities using preset values. Over here, you can also change the accent colors, and this is the settings menu. Over here, you can adjust the window opacity more precisely. And down here, you can toggle between typewriter replies. And typewriter replies makes the replies less chunkier by utilizing letter by letter output rather than more blockier word for word replies Javis previously outputted. I can also change the typewriter speed. More to the left means more faster but more chunkier, and more to the right means a little slower but more smoother. I also have the option to change my identity over here, and as you can see, that is used to provide a personalized message depending on the time and my name. Now down here, I can change the TTS voice to either male or female, and TTS stands for text to speech, and this is entirely depending on my preference. And below that, I have the option to change between the fast model or the advanced model. I also have the option to unload or load the model, which frees up RAM and VRAM if the user wishes to use just the browser. I also can set a password down here for two-factor authentication and enable that separately down here. Also, now I can export and delete my chats, where exporting saves it to my downloads folder and deleting prompts the user before deleting the chats, and I can save my changes down below. So under the hood, as I mentioned before, Javis now runs 2 local models instead of 1. A fast model for everyday conversation and an advanced model with visible step-by-step reasoning for harder questions. I can switch between them from the UI, and the app automatically detects my GPU, calculates how many layers it can safely offload, and falls back gracefully to the CPU if needed. Math now has its own path entirely. Straightforward problems, such as factoring a polynomial, get solved deterministically and verified by expanding the answer back out, so there's no risk of the model hallucinating a wrong step. For example, squared plus 2x plus 1. That got solved instantaneously. You can see it said factoring and what it's factoring. It showed you the fully factored form, and it verified it by expanding it out. Now I'll give it another question. So as you can see, it responded with the derivative of sine of x is equal to cosine of x. And if you notice, these questions are pretty specific and they are easy to understand. But say we gave Javis a more harder to understand question, as like, what is 10 cubed? Where the math engine wouldn't be able to understand cubed, but it would be able to understand 10 to the power of 3. And this is where Javis's engine itself kicks in. And as you can see, it also auto-named the chat. So up here, these are probably the biggest change since last time. There's now a casual mode over here, which is relaxed and Gen Z flavored for everyday chatting. There's a coder environment here, which allows you to code whatever you want. And goes alongside the coder environment, which basically codes, rechecks its code, and it can be used in the coding environment. The web intelligence is used for web searches. It collects resources and does web searches and uses that as context to reply to. Here's an analyst mode, which is much, much more precise, concise, and uses more hard real facts rather than being more creative with this response. Writer is the exact opposite of analyst, where it is more creative, more free in thought, and attempts to use many different types of words in its responses. Debugger is going alongside the agent mode, and it debugs code, and it can also be used in the coding environment. Over here, you have the option to add skills, and you can name the skill, and you can also give it a persona prompt. And the persona prompt is basically your system prompt, and this is what gets fed to Javis so that it can use it and behave in the way that you want it to. So now I will demonstrate Javis and the web intelligence mode. So with the creation of the new chat, I'm going to ask Javis a question, and I'm going to ask web intelligence a question, and we'll see how they both compare. And you'll see it refers to its prior memory, hopefully. And you can see it got the fact that it was Tamil featuring Dhanush, all right, and Pudu Pette is wrong. Okay, now let's test a different chat. Web intelligence. And I'll pause the video until it's done generating. And as you can see, it got it right over here. Why This Kolaveri D is a song composed by Anirudh Ravichandar with lyrics written and sung by Dhanush from the soundtrack of the movie 3. So let's do a quick web search to confirm that. As you can see, it did search it, and it is from the movie 3. So as we are in the browser right now, let's check out the browser. The browser uses DuckDuckGo since it's private and free, and the AI is allowed to do searches as you saw. You can add new tabs like this, close tabs like that. You can reload tabs using this button over here, go to the home page over here, go back and go front over there. And you can exit the browser from over here. And otherwise, this is a pretty standard browser. Another feature that that Javis now has is it can refer to prior context. Prior context in the sense that Javis can now use context from different chats and it can use that as information to remember the next time it needs to talk to you. So, for example, since I talked about this song "Why This Colavaridi" to Javis beforehand, Javis already knew what or where it was from, but it didn't know the specifics about the song and the movie it came from. So therefore, you saw Javis get the movie name wrong in the first chat, but over here it got it right because it was able to use web intelligence to figure out what the song was. It also cites its source from the four of the different sources that it's provided. And voice mode is still here alongside the send button being over here if you need to use it. There's also a workspace button which shows you the different files that you made. And alongside that, Javis has nothing much more new that has been added to it. You can hide the task bar over here alongside the chats over here. And this tells you whether the model is fully online or offline. It actually has functionality now. It tells you whether the application has been fully loaded, etc., etc. And otherwise, this is Javis right now, version 3, alongside some developments since the last video. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Come back for either version 3.5 or version 4, and I'll see you in the next one.